Okay, so welcome back. As we were talking about the theory of investing these alternative asset classes earlier in watch investment, all those are theories. So we're basically going to invite a special guest today, and it's none other than our boss. His name is Chem Tan. So Chem is a financial services director with almost 2 decades of experiences. He's also a chartered financial consultant, chartered life underwriter, neuro-linguistic programming trainer, anagram trainer, and many more. Over the years, he has picked up the hobby acumen for buying watches. So maybe Chem, you can tell us a bit more about your background and how you got into the luxury watch investments.
Hi, okay, thank you for inviting me. Okay, so I first bought my first Rolex watch when I started out working in my first year. So that was actually a second-hand Rolex Air King. So the cost was actually about $1,000. So I actually bought it from one of my father's friend. So he said he has a lot of vintage watches. I was just going to take a look. I saw the watch and then I think, okay, 1,000 was within my budget, so I bought it. I brought that watch to 3 or 4 pawn shop to ask what is the value of that watch. So, because those days, pawn shop is like 19, 20 years ago. So, 3 of them quote me around $800, which I thought was fair. And one actually quote me $2,200 to buy that piece. So I was very happy. I didn't sell the watch and then I keep it, and that actually sparked my interest in collecting watches. Yeah.
Okay. So then what initially attracted you to this asset class, apart from the fact that you started this journey?
When I was very young, we watched movies and shows, and we always, see Hollywood movies or Hong Kong movies, they always have the Rolex watch, and it was always this gold Rolex watch, And I think during those times when I was growing up, most of my friends' father, everyone has a gold Rolex watch, Everybody has a Mercedes, has a gold Rolex watch. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is something that when I grow up, I think I should have, So that was what started me into realizing that watch was something that I wanted to buy or collect or try at least. Yeah.
I guess the most vivid scene I remember was the scene from the gangster show.
Yeah.
They pass the watch to the people, and then after years later they can sell and cash out for money.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how would you define luxury watch as an investment asset then?
Okay, if we look at the world of watches in totality, I think less than 10% are what we call investment class. 90% of watches generally, if you buy and you want to sell it the next day or 1 year later, you probably lose about 50% of the value, like Cartier, all the other brands. But I think when we talk about investment in watches today, in 2024, Rolex, maybe like AP and Patek, some models of AP and some models of Patek holds their value well, but for AP and Patek, it's only the sports models that do well or some rare pieces, but most of the other watches like complication watches, you buy today, you're going to sell it for like 50%, 40% off the next day. It doesn't really hold. So when we talk about value in luxury watch, it's only like limited to this small group of watches, like Rolex watches in general, and maybe some of AP, Patek, and maybe a bit of the RMs. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think are the key factors that determine the value of the luxury watch?
Okay, so a few things. First thing is that every watch that you buy has a retail price, right? And that is the base price. If you buy a stock, there's no retail price. But if you buy a watch, right? If you today buy brand new a Rolex watch, there is a retail price, and that retail price goes up every year, 3%. For every correction, 3%, 1 or 2 correction a year. So every year, if you wait 3 years later, the watch will have 3 to 4 correction, and it's always like up like 3%. So this is like normal. So if you talk about long term, the watch is just going to cost more and more over time. It's like inflation, right? So that's one. The second one is of course the trend. So 10, 15 years ago, there's Hublot, there's Panerai that people start to buy and it's popular, like Frank Muller. But today nobody wants them. So it's like there are some watches that are trend during the era, and it might not perform like 10, 20 years later. Nobody might want to watch. So it really depends. But Rolex has been there for the last 50 years. So it's very safe. I think Patek, for the very high end, it has always been there. AP is now trading about just like retail price. So yeah. One that's very popular now is Richard Mille. But Richard Mille is a very, very new watch. It's like 10 years old, and there's a lot of hype. But they only make like 5,000 pieces a year. So not a lot of people owns them. People who own them keep them, and the cost is high. But whether you'll perform in the next 5, 10, 15 years is really a question mark. Yeah.
I think that there's we always thought that as long as I buy a Rolex or any model, it generally will fetch better price. So I see that it really depends on the market trend, whether people really want it or not, whether is it liquid or not. Because whether you buy first, eventually if you want to make money, you have to sell it. So if nobody wants it, you can't even sell it.
Yes.
And then you'll have to lower down the price, and then maybe probably make a loss. So how do you find the current market trend like in market? Do you see that in future luxury watch like Rolex will still appreciate over time? And how was appreciation like?
So, in the last 10 years, things have moved very well because there was this special period during COVID, 2019 to 2022, where the watches all suddenly have a big boom. Some people say it's because of crypto, some people say it's because of ETFs, some people say it's because, people are not spending a lot because of the lockdown and all that. And so they just buy luxury watches. So in that 3 years, we see a big boom. And then now it has dropped a little bit from that boom. So from the all-time high to now, it's like drop about 40%. But if you look at the 20-year timeline, I would say on average, it moves about 3 to 5%, following very closely to how the retail price gets that adjustment, right? So just now talking about that adjustment of prices for the retail price. So it's sort of, I think 3 to 5% a year is reasonable, but like 10-20% is really because it was hot for a period of time. Yeah.
See. In terms of models and brands wise, like other than Richard Mille, how do you know like which are the trending one, or how do we find information on that? Like where do we find like whether is AP is more popular right now, or Rolex some models are more popular?
Yeah. Okay. So there's this market demand. So I mean the watch market is today very transparent with internet and everything. There's Chrono24. Even for Singapore, you go to Carousel. The market prices are very, very transparent. So you can see the market really fluctuating, or the price that the dealers are selling fluctuating month on month. The price will be different. Yeah. So what is popular now may not be popular 20 years later. So like 20 years ago, if you buy if you ask somebody, would you buy a Daytona or would you buy a Rolex Day-Date, for example? People say, oh, you go for the Day-Date. But 30 years later, 40 years later, those who bought the Daytona, they boom down. So I mean, it's really a matter. I mean, 20 years ago, people like smaller watches. Now 20 years later, people like bigger watches. So the trend really depends on I don't know, market. Sometimes like there's a movie like Sylvester Stallone, so he wears a very big watch, and suddenly everybody's like, oh, that's cool. And then for the period, that will be the hot watch to buy. Yeah.
So in hindsight now, if you could do things differently, what would be the watches from Rolex you will start to collect if you can turn back time? Let's say a decade ago.
Okay.
Because you mentioned like Day-Date used to hold better value, or it was more trending at that point in time, right? So a lot of people would think, especially the president bracelet, the gold watches, people would want. But then things have also seen a change. A lot of people are looking into sports model today. So if you could do things differently, like in hindsight now, would you still buy will you still buy Daytona all these, or at that point in time you think no I would still look at current trend because now Day-Date is popular I should buy what is popular now
Okay, on hindsight, if I know the future, or 20 years ago, if I know what's popular, of course I will buy those that were popular and appreciate. Because at that point it's not trending, but 10 years later it's trending, right? Yeah, but there's a lot of like different people. Like if you talk to the old school people, like people who own pawn shops and been collecting watches, trading watches for 30 years, they say Day-Date is pure gold. The value is there. You buy something that is steel, and then it's like the same price. How can you buy a steel watch that is more expensive than a full gold watch? Those are the old school people. Today people say, oh, the Daytona is very rare. You see a lot of Day-Dates, but for every 2,000 Day-Dates that you see one Daytona. So I mean 2,000 to 1 is not exactly a ratio, but I mean it's the rarity and the scarcity of it. And even like for Patek, the most expensive Patek watches could be a stainless steel one, which they do in limited production, like 10 pieces, 20 pieces, and the full gold ones are just way cheaper. So it's also that's the element of rarity. Yeah.
So in watches, it's not really so much about the weight in the gold that they use anymore.
It's all Limited edition.
I think both matters, but in the past, the actual physical gold weighs more. But I think in today, people look at rarity more. Like if it's a limited piece type of collection, regardless of material, it will be better. If that is a trending piece, yeah.
So what about the hybrid theory then? You know, like one school of thought is you should buy real gold, heavy, right? The other one is buy popular or the sports watches that are steel based. But how about those half gold ones then?
Okay, so with interesting when I was when I bought my first brand new piece, it was actually a half gold watch. So this is about 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, they started to have a lot of fake watches, flooding the market from China. You go to Thailand, everywhere they sell it. And the fake watches usually look very real for those stainless steel model. But somehow they cannot replicate gold, right? Because of the weight and, the gold is gold, right? The color will change, So I thought that who would want to buy steel? It looks like a fake watch. So I go and buy the half gold or I go full gold. But surprisingly enough, the steel watches are doing much better today than the half gold watch. And in fact, for Rolex sports model, right, the half gold watch are like selling under retail. Yeah. So, I don't know the trend today will last in the next 5-10 years, but it might change. Maybe one day it will correct and the half gold watches will be more premium than the steel watches. I really don't know. Yeah.
I think we also want to find out more with you, Chem, about on your journey. So you started like 20 years ago on the first Air King you bought. So along the way, did you buy and sell or did you just buy and collect only?
For most, by and large, I just buy and keep because for me, this collecting journey also, collecting watches, one thing the first thing is you must buy what you like or something that you wear. Don't buy something that people tells you but you don't like it.
Yeah.
So you buy, you like. But sometimes when you wear it for a while, you may not like it. Sometimes you see, you thought you like, but when you wear it, you might not like because of size, because of fitting or whatever color. So first thing is you buy what you like. If you really like, then you can hold on to those pieces. That to me is more important. Over the years, I don't really sell too much of my watches, but there was a time where I was raising funds to buy my property. I sold my old property and I wanted to buy a bigger unit. So at that point, I was selling my watches I sold about 6 or 7 watches just to raise some funds for the down deposit of my property. Yeah.
Well, this would be a very interesting topic really, because we have been talking about how Rolex holds the value better, and if it's truly an investment like movies, the gangsters give their people and then after they run into some hard shit, they can sell and cash out for money. So the real deal is when you were trying to pull funds through selling the watches, right? Does the watch really retain the value or if anything at all make any profit for you when you cash out?
Okay.